He stood on his front lawn and asked the cameras to bring his family home. Neighbors watched, reporters scribbled, a nation tuned in. And somewhere behind those eyes, flat, unfocused, slightly too calm, was a man who already knew exactly where they were. Chris Watts didn't just kill his wife and daughters. He killed them, then drove to work. He stood in front of a news crew and performed grief for a country that didn't yet know there was nothing left to grieve. This is not the story of a monster hiding in the shadows. This is the story of a man who smiled at cookouts, posted "I love my family" under vacation photos, while quietly deciding that his wife, his daughters, and his unborn son were the only thing standing between him and the life he actually wanted. This is the Watts family case, and it doesn't get easier the longer you look at it. Part 1. The Perfect Life.
Hey guys, so we're here at a local at my house and everyone's gonna taste the Pro Bars and they're all looking at me because they know they're gonna go on live, so hold on.
Shanann Watts was a natural storyteller, vivacious, loud in the best way, someone who lit up a room and immediately started recording it. She sold wellness products for a company called Thrive, and her social media was her storefront: birthday parties, beach vacations, ultrasound announcements. At the center of every post, her husband Chris, their daughters Bella and Celeste, and by summer 2018, the growing bump that would become their son, Nico. Chris played the role well, quiet where Shanann was loud. He showed up, smiled at the camera, held the girls on his shoulders, the comments filled with heart emojis. People told Shanann how lucky she was. She agreed. What no one watching could see was the $70,000 in debt beneath the surface, a bankruptcy filing years prior, a house mortgaged beyond their means. The image was holding, the foundation was not. And then there was the other thing, the thing Chris hadn't told anyone yet. Part 2. The Other Woman. Her name was Nicole Kessinger. She worked at Anadarko Petroleum, the same company where Chris operated oil field equipment. They met in spring 2018. By June, the affair was in full motion. Chris told Nicole he was practically separated, that the marriage was over in everything but paperwork. He was not separated. He was a married father of 2, expecting a 3rd child, still posting family photos 3 days after the affair began. He had constructed a fantasy version of his future, a new life, unburdened, starting over. And his actual life, the debt, the pregnant wife, the 2 little girls, had become, in his mind, the obstacle. Chris Watts didn't snap. He didn't act in a moment of rage. He made a decision, and then he waited. Part 3. She never left. Shanann had been away for nearly 5 weeks in Arizona with the girls, partly for work, partly to give the marriage some space. The texts between her and Chris during that trip are hard to read, cold on his end, pleading on hers, a woman who sensed something shifting but couldn't name what it was. On August 12, 2018, Shanann flew back to Frederick, Colorado. She arrived home just before 2 a.m. A neighbor's security camera caught her walking through the front door. She was 15 weeks pregnant. The girls were already asleep upstairs. That's the last time anyone outside that house would see Shanann Watts alive. They argued. Separation, divorce, the state of things. At some point during that conversation, Chris strangled his wife in their bedroom. Then he went upstairs to his daughters. Bella was 4. She loved dinosaurs, singing, and her little sister. Celeste was 3, bold, mischievous, the kind of kid who ran head first into everything. Nico never got the chance to be anything at all. At Survey 319, he smothered Celeste. And then, this is the detail that stops people cold, the moment that refuses to leave. Bella, who had witnessed what happened to her little sister, asked her father, "Is the same thing going to happen to me as Cece?" He smothered Bella. He buried Shanann in a shallow grave. He placed the girls' bodies into separate oil tanks, sealed, sunken, 11 feet of crude oil above them. Then he drove to work. Part 4. The house didn't lie. That afternoon, Shanann missed a prenatal appointment. She stopped responding to messages. Her friend called police for a welfare check. When officers arrived, Chris was calm. He told them Shanann had left after an emotional conversation and taken the girls with her. Maybe she just needed some time. But the house didn't match the story. Her purse was on the counter, her medication still inside it, her phone wedged between the couch cushions, the girls' car seats still in her car in the garage, nothing packed, no note, no sign of a woman who chose to leave. Surveillance footage showed Chris backing his truck into the driveway early that morning. Unusual, neighbors said. He loaded something, then drove away. Shanann's phone went completely dark the moment she walked through that door. GPS placed Chris at Survey 319 longer than any routine visit required. He agreed to a polygraph. He failed. When confronted, he tried a different story, claiming Shanann had harmed the girls and he'd acted in response. Investigators dismantled it immediately. The evidence didn't align, and the way he described his daughter's deaths, flat, detached, like recalling a minor inconvenience, told investigators everything they needed to know. The bodies were recovered at Survey 319. The process of recovering Bella and Celeste from inside those oil tanks was later described by first responders as one of the hardest things they had ever been asked to do. Part 5. 5 Lives, 5 Terms. In November 2018, Chris Watts pleaded guilty to 9 felony counts, including 3 counts of first-degree murder, to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 5 consecutive life terms without the possibility of parole. He is currently in a federal prison in Wisconsin, housed away from the general population for his own protection. He has given interviews from prison since. Each time, the details got worse, not better. Worse, a coldness that even seasoned criminal psychologists struggled to explain. Closing. Here is what remains. Shanann Watts was 34 years old, devoted, real, fiercely present for her children. 15 weeks pregnant, she had already picked a name. Bella was 4. She loved dinosaurs, singing, and her little sister. Celeste was 3. Bold, mischievous, the kind of kid who ran headfirst into everything. Nico never got the chance to be anything at all. The thing that makes this case linger, that keeps the comments active years later, the documentaries coming, the podcast episodes downloading, isn't just the horror of what Chris Watts did, it's the illusion he maintained, the smiling photos, the vacation videos the algorithm kept serving up even after the bodies were found. The realization that the thing we call a perfect family is sometimes a performance given by someone who has already decided the show is over. Chris Watts did not become something else on August 13, 2018. He revealed what he already was. The family he murdered deserved far better than the man they trusted.